What's the ugliest thing you've ever heard an attractive person say? When I worked security at a bar, we were collecting covers and this girl came in and said, "I don't pay covers. Look at me. Seriously, look at me and look at you. You should be glad I am here." Actually, I'm not. Now get the frick out before I physically throw you out. I used to work security at big parties when I was in Charleston. One thing I loved was the fact that I didn't have to put up with people's crap. It was a good gig for a college kid. A tech on the teen crisis floor of a psychiatric ward. I worked there as the education director for a year. Was talking to a nurse about a teenage boy who had been admitted for trying to kill himself because he was gay and being bullied. The tech, whose job is to keep the kids safe and help them cope emotionally in time of crisis, said if he were my kid I'd just beat the queer out of him. He was talking loudly and the boy's bedroom was very close. I reported him the next morning. He still had a job, not even sure if he got in trouble. One time, a girl in middle school called me over to her table at lunch. She was a girl I've had a crush on for some time. Excitedly, I stood up wearing a genuine smile and followed her call. I stood next to where she was sitting. We looked at each other for a few seconds as my heart raced. It's called proactive. Use it. I'd like to say that I'm doing better than her now, but I'm simply not. Life is still crap. Well, you're not her, so you've got that going for you. At my old work I overheard this really sweet looking girl say OMG she needs to get over herself, it's only her dad that died. I gave her the coldest stare and the look of shame on her face when she saw me was satisfying to say the least. This one dude who gave me his number before I went in for treatment for my eating disorder, at 88 lbs. When I got out I was 137 pounds, at 5 feet 5. I went out one day with some friends and got a text from the dude that said, "Hey, I saw you in North Hills. I didn't recognize you with all that fat on your body. What happened? You used to be so beautiful." Jesus. I hope you are still doing well. At grocery store to a handicapped grocery sacker. EWW. Don't touch my food. I eat these tomatoes. I don't want to be retarded tomorrow. I don't think they can fix that overnight. Several years ago I was in a drugstore checkout line behind two people. The first was an obviously homeless man who was counting out change to buy some food drinks. Right behind him was this super hot blonde woman, dressed up, full makeup, the works. The entire time in line, all of 3 minutes probably, she kept making very loud nasty remarks. "Something smells awful, what is taking so long?" and giving this poor homeless guy dirty looks. The poor guy was just trying to get something to eat and the last thing he needed was her rotten attitude. I was young and didn't have the nerve to speak up. It bothers me to this day that I didn't say anything or step in front of her to pay for whatever he wanted. If that happened today I'd loudly tell her, "Well, at least he's not a raving bee." I don't blame you. It's hard to speak up in a situation like that. I hope if I'm in the situation I'll have the courage to say something. Younger, socially awkward, heavier set girl gets the same prom dress as a popular older girl. The older girl bullies her into taking it back and states, "I mean, I'll look better in it anyways. It's capital A dress." This one made me genuinely sad. "It doesn't matter what it is or where I got it. You can't afford it anyway," said by an acquaintance to an elderly lady who asked her what perfume was she wearing and where did she buy it because she smelled so nice. Such ugliness. What an idiot. People don't ask that because they are going to buy it. They ask because it's a way to give a compliment. A very pretty girl that lived on my dorm floor in college said of another average looking girl in the dorm, "I can't stand her. She acts like she thinks she's pretty." That average looking girl was an awesome person. Very genuine and smart. It made me furious and really sad to think someone thought she wasn't allowed to have self-confidence without being pretty. Jealousy 101. My best friend had just gotten engaged and we were at a New Year's celebration with like 20 other friends. One of my guy friends had started dating a new girl and we were all excited to meet her. He introduces her to us and we were talking about how other friend had gotten engaged. A new girlfriend asks to see the ring. My friend holds out her hand and immediately this girl says, "Oh my god, it's so small." We were all dumbstruck. My friend is a simple girl and would never have wanted a big showy ring. It's just not her. My guy friend just got engaged to this girl who I've always gotten along with, and like a lot actually, but I will never forget that comment. First impressions really do stick. Was on a date with a girl and she made a remark about how homeless people were scum trash. At the time she was technically homeless. Projection and insecurity are crazy drugs, man. Went on a date. This guy was way the frick out of my league and I knew it, but he wanted to meet up, so I went for it. I ended up talking about something I'm passionate about, and we had been getting along great up to this point. He looks at me and says, "You know, you're super freaking annoying when you're excited. Maybe if you were less happy I'd be into this." Oh. That crushed the frick out of me and it didn't even happen to me. Overheard a conversation with a couple of co-workers once. Attractive Jane. My boyfriend broke up with me. Joe. Or, that sucks. Why did he break up with you? Attractive Jane. He thought I was cheating on him. Beat. Joe. Were you cheating on him? Attractive Jane. Yes. But he didn't have any proof. Me. LMFAO. Beat. That made it all the more hilarious. Bragging about getting a girl he was hooking up with that he knew was really into him to do stuff for him. Like his dishes. Coming to pick him up after getting drunk at the bars. Bringing him stuff when he was sick. Went on to talk about how he only hooked up with ugly girls because they would do stuff like that. My sister is one of the popular girls in high school and beauty and popularity are the primary focus of her social group. She and her friends refer to unpopular or less attractive people as irrelevant. When I went to high school, that would have got you punched. She is going to be in for a rude awakening if she goes to college. I had a pretty woman in my department tell me right to my face that she's going sleep with my husband during a Christmas party. I laughed it off and told her good luck. I went to another room to play poker. My husband was in another room playing pool. She tried everything from flirting to playfully try to take his cowboy hat. He keep on denying her advances. When she wrapped her arms around him while was about ready to take his shot on the table and whispered that she can give me one heck of an unforgettable BJ in a bedroom upstairs. He stood up and told her, "You might be pretty on the outside but you are one ugly old W on the inside," and left the room. He found me and told me he was feeling ill. He didn't tell me until we got back to our house on what happened at that pool room. I was really proud of him and after that she made my life miserable at work. What a C. I used to serve tables at a small casual fine dining restaurant in a college town. It was a private college where the tuition was hardly worth the blackout drunk parties these kids would engage themselves in, but by God these college students were all ridiculously beautiful. I would typically serve a smattering of affluent, middle-aged groups and younger college students who would order small plates off the menu, mac and cheese, flatbreads, etc. They would usually tip terribly. I mean, who didn't in college, right? Anyways, I once served a table full of sorority girls. You could tell by the matching t-shirts. On their way out, I held the door for about 7 of them and not a single one looked up from their phones or said thank you for holding the door. As the final one passed the threshold, I remember getting very heated and finally added, "You're welcome," to the last girl who was buried in editing her most recent Snapchat photo. She looked at me and said sheepishly, "Oh, sorry, and thank you." Her friend looks at her within clear earshot of me and says, "I never say thank you when someone holds the door open for me. I don't see why I should." The older woman on the patio chirped in, "Your parents must be very proud." That old lady is such a good way to end the story. This is such a dumb person. The girl, "If you can't see the reason to say thanks, I have nothing to say to you. I don't need to be nice. I'm beautiful and people will do anything for me." Ugh. The sad truth is that she's correct. If people stopped treating people based on their looks, there would be fewer entitled buttholes out there. It's going to be more sad for her when her looks don't get her by anymore. She'll be a lonely, bitter frick with nothing to offer. When anything good happened to any other woman, I had a roommate who would whine but she's not even pretty. New boyfriend? But she's not even pretty. Someone got the job she wanted, but she's barely an 8. A Playboy model named Danny Mathers Snapchatted a photo of an elderly and obese naked woman in her gym locker room to her followers. Her justification was that it was meant to be posted privately to her friends. That was her defense. I remember that. I will never believe she was remorseful about it. She was only sorry she got caught. Ugh. There was a girl that went to advanced German classes with and she stormed into the classroom screaming, "Ew, X-person is in love with me but he's so hideous and disgusting. I freaking hate teenagers." I am one and I agree, despite the paradox. I was in the gym making some gains and there was this very attractive woman working out. You know, the one that you keep looking at cause she's so hot. Well, I walk over to the treadmill and start walking and a few minutes later she gets on the one next to me. There is this woman in there who is about 300 pounds on another treadmill further down. The attractive woman leans over to me and says, "What is that fat bee doing in here? Shouldn't she be at home eating a Twinkie?" Instead she thought I was gonna laugh cause she did one of those fake laughs. I looked at her and said, "That is fricked up that you said that. At least she is in here trying to lose some weight," and I just walked away and got on the treadmill closer to the big woman and told her to keep it up. A year and a half later the big woman lost over 150 pounds and looks great. I have done this many times because they deserve to be complimented for wanting to better themselves. Good on you and frick that lady. Was on my third or fourth date with a guy that I thought I really liked when I was younger. We had a nice dinner and went back to his place where we sat and drank wine for a little bit. We were talking about some heavy stuff and I ended up telling him about how I was raped by a family member and a neighbor when I was very young. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "I can't even imagine how tight you would have been." I got my crap and got the frick out of there. Blocked him on every social media platform and never spoke to him again. Frick that guy. Whoa, I'm surprised that my water bottle is still on my bike. Freaking homeless in front of a homeless dude who was sitting on a bench. The homeless man then tries to say they aren't all bad people and she scoffs at him. Really lost a lot of respect for that person that day. Like, yeah, there are a lot of crappy homeless people, but can we not kick someone when they are down? I hope you said something. This girl who was good looking and popular said if I ever got famous, I would never hug a fat fan. They would be sweaty and gross. I would hate having to be close for a picture too. Now she's fat, so full circle. I was group mom for my daughter's ballet recital group. Another very attractive mom came to sit by me at rehearsal. She looked around the room at the other dance moms and said, "Who's here that I hate? Talk about a grown-up mean girl." Sophomore year of high school, this girl I had the biggest crush on and easily the most beautiful person in the school said, "Why do we even bother educating retards?" Talking about a girl with Down syndrome who had given me a hug. They should just be euthanized. The crush didn't last all that long. My very attractive ex said that rape is only valid if it happens to a hot girl. If they're unattractive, they should be grateful anyone would even want to touch them. He also said if a hot girl is raped and he knows about it, she's instantly less attractive. A freaking prick. What the actual frick? Does he think women are humans or objects? I am Hispanic. Both my parents are from Mexico, and I currently work in SoCal. I don't look Hispanic and I don't bring up my race very often. If you don't know any better, I am just some white guy, minus my Mexican last name. I work with this really cute redhead and I took her out on a date. It was going awesome until she brought up how much she hates Hispanics and how they should all stay in Mexico. The date didn't last long. I left her with the check for dinner and stranded with no ride home because I was so mad. With a note that just had your last name on it. It was my friend's birthday and some of her hot friends came in from New Jersey. We were exiting a restaurant and this old homeless guy politely asks for some change and this one Jersey girl goes, "Some of us have jobs. You should go get one yourself," in a real nasty tone. The homeless guy replies, "I'm sorry to have bothered you. Have a good night." I was P. My interest immediately dropped to 0. Hey, are you Neo? Cause you just dodge a bullet. Worked with a very pretty and generally very pleasant woman who said, "I just wish his mom would hurry up and die so he can start focusing on me again." Her boyfriend's mom had cervical cancer and did die. So I'm a massage therapist, and the amount of other LMTs out there who will body shame clients behind their backs shocks me. One in particular sticks out because she was all over a Facebook massage group talking about a particular client who was obese, and when the client asked if she could feel something, she was wondering how anyone could through all that fat. I'm not saying that larger clients aren't sometimes more challenging to work on, but the difference between muscles, tendons, ligaments, adipose tissue, etc. isn't difficult to feel. It sickens me to my core to think that the person she was talking about could find out what she said. What I've learned in the near decade I've been working is to never forget that every client's humanity. Every person coming in is there for relief, whether it's stress, physical pain, or a combination thereof. Stripping away that humanity so that they are just fat or hairy or whatever isn't the way to help them. And a lot of clients can tell when they are being judged by a therapist. Put it away or find a new career. Thank you for sharing this. As a larger person who is terrified of getting a professional massage and being vulnerable, I appreciate what you had to say here. No thanks, with a disgusted look on her face when I tried to get her to sign a petition to save the sharks, but she signed my friends to save the wolves. Let me tell you, 3rd grade me dodge a bullet. Any girl who doesn't want to save sharks isn't worth your time. I'd save all the sharks. I love sharks. She was stereotype sweet bubbly blonde. Very attractive. If any of my kids ever turn out gay, I will shoot and kill them and bury them in the woods. Then acted all appalled when a guy told her I don't even want kids. If my wife gets pregnant, I'm just gonna use a coat hanger to turn her uterus into a blender. He justified his statement with, at least I'm killing them before they experience life. Not lying and telling them I love them and raising them just to bury them out back. Jesus, where do these people come from? Went on a blind date with a guy when I was 16. He was nice the whole time. I thought it went well. Talked to the guy who set us up. Date said that I had a nice rack but should never smile in public again. I had crooked teeth that my parents never bothered to correct with braces. That one stung. He's now some loser not paying child support, and I'm a wife and mom in a nice home who has nice straight teeth now. D. I also never stopped smiling. Good for you. Dodge a bullet on that one. Keep on smilin'. D. Like anyone would believe I would let your dong anywhere near me, you fat, disgusting pig. Female rapist the night she and her brother almost killed me, ending a 3-year relationship. As someone who was also sexually assaulted by a woman several times, I'm here if you need to lend an ear, my dude. Why can't the homeless people just go away? I don't want to see that when I go to the park. Oh, sorry princess. I didn't realize their weird desire to exist was interfering with your sitting on a bench scrolling through Instagram. This was phrased perfectly. I wish your suicide attempt succeeded so I would have never had to meet you. Said by my ex-girlfriend who met me about a month after I attempted, and came extremely close to succeeding. Suicide and was a big part of me making it through that very dark time in my life. Ironically, this helped me get over her, as it really drove home how much she had changed and how I was holding on to memories of a person that no longer exists. This was a few weeks ago. Hang in there, man. I'm glad you are still around. I've had a co-worker imply that my company gave a lucrative promotion to another woman because of her peasant looks and poor upbringing, so it looked good for the company. No, you piece of crap. She got it because she worked hard, while you got this job because your father was the head of the division. Sweetheart, you're like an hourly employee. There's always someone twice as pretty, half as stupid, and willing to do your job for half the price and twice the effort. My uber attractive old roommate to a Tinder date wouldn't put out. I don't date and said by a very young woman I worked with. I'd rarely heard that word used before, and never by someone as young as she was. I hadn't had any idea she was racist, either. This guy I worked with was always nice to everyone but his wife. At the Christmas party one year, he said to his wife, in front of everyone, "I married you for what you look like, not for what comes out of your mouth." One of the nicest guys I've ever worked with, but he treated his wife like garbage all the time. A nice guy who treats his wife like crap is not a nice guy. I'd love it if you went and killed yourself. A decent looking ex-friend of mine said to a kid who told her he'd love to buy her a drink at a bar. I was so shocked at her response that I couldn't do anything but stand there with my mouth open. But the friendship ended right after that. That happened 10 years ago during my sophomore year of college, and I'm still haunted by the fact that I didn't say anything on his behalf. I worked with a lady who saw a guy with a facial deformity at the mall. She told me that it was so rude for his caregiver to bring him out in public because it makes normal people uncomfortable. Frick you, Rosa. Dang, this is going to get buried, but one of the girls in my cohort is pretty much perfect. 10/10 for sure. When I was getting to know her, I noticed her phone background was a picture of her and her boyfriend. She saw me looking and she said, "OMG, that's my boyfriend. I know, he's ugly, but I only date ugly guys because I know they won't leave me." It's not only ugly of her to say, I actually thought he was decent BTW, but I realized afterward that I put way too much importance on my own physical appearance. I used to think that if I were thinner, if my nose wasn't weird, if my chin wasn't big, etc, that life would be easier. I couldn't shake this thought until I heard her say that she's miserable and self-conscious all the time and she's as good as they get. I no longer get self-conscious and I'm actually kind of happy with how I look now. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.